Well, today we're going to talk about how to stay warm in your RV, whether you're living in a car or a van or something that's built out. And we can discuss what I'm doing here as well. Start with the simplest, I suppose. You have a hatchback and you want to move into the back of your car, or let's say it's just an empty cargo van. How are you going to stay warm? Well, the first thing that people do is just basically buy, a warm sleeping bag or something very warm to sleep in. Stay in moderate climates and get by that way. You can do that. If you're going to go into colder climates, though, then you have to find something more substantial. People have talked about using candles and putting, a clay pot over top and having multi-layers and all that kind of stuff. Problem is, you're still breathing in the fumes from the candle. You have to have a lot of candles, and you end up, staining the inside of your vehicle with all of the fumes and whatnot. Candles aren't really a very viable option. It's maybe something you could do in emergency, or if you can vent it somehow, then that's a possibility. But from the candles, the most popular option that people go with is like a Mr. Buddy heater. Uh, they usually go with the one that's about 3,000 BTU. The problem with the Mr. Buddy heater, a couple problems actually, is number one is 3,000 BTU at the lowest setting. That's a lot of BTUs. People get cooked out of their vehicles pretty fast with those. They're not vented as well. So they are very efficient, and they are made so you can actually, if you crack a window, you can heat your RV, your space, without killing yourself. But and they also have sensors, low oxygen sensors and whatnot, so they're good that way. But they're not thermostatically controlled. You just get 3,000 BTUs or 6,000, in the two settings, and you cook yourself. Far better option in my books would be to go with an Olympian Wave 3. Lowest BTU is 1,500 BTU to 3,000, I think, on that model. So half the BTUs, you're going to be able to run it longer and have a more, sustained heat instead of turning it on and off all the time. Same problem exists with it, though, is that it's no thermostatic control on it, and it's also not vented. So when it burns a propane, or converts it or whatever, it's actually putting it right into your living space, and you're breathing that in. It burns it very clean and efficiently, though. The problem with propane, though, is it's wet, and you're putting a lot of moisture into your vehicle, so that can cause problems all by itself. If it gets really cold, then it's not going to be a very good solution at all. Although, having said that, the nice thing about the Mr. Buddy and the Wave 3s are very efficient. They don't use any electricity, and they're very efficient in how they use their propane, like 99% efficient or whatever. So that's a huge bonus. So you're going to see people using them quite a bit in their RVs for that very reason. And if out of all the solutions I'm going to talk about, the Wave 3 from Olympian is probably something that might end up making its way in this vehicle at one point in time. And it's fairly flat. It doesn't take up a lot of space. So there's a lot of good pluses to the Wave 3. To go a step ahead of that and better would be like a Dickinson Marine propane option. It is fed with outside air, and it also vents to the outside. The chimney actually acts as both the intake and the exhaust. Fairly efficient. I don't think it's as efficient as what the Mr. Buddy and the Olympian would be, but then you got a nice solution where you're not going to be adding moisture into your RV. Pretty important when it starts to get cold. So the Dickinson Marine is also a very good option. Problem is it's not thermostatically controlled, but then again, it can be something that can sort of augment your heat. It doesn't put out tons of heat depending on the model that you're using. So you use that, and then you can have your other systems kick in if you have something built in. To get more sophisticated than that, you can go like with a S-Bar heater, or a Basto, I think it's called. Those are diesel operated heaters that are used in semis and boats and whatnot. I think they're fairly efficient. They don't draw a lot of power. They run off diesel though, so if you have a diesel rig, then that would be a top option. You're talking quite a bit of money for those, but then you end up with a nice solution, and they are thermostatically controlled, so that's very important. Going beyond that, you're looking at what comes with your RV. If you have something built out like T-Rex is, it comes with its own heater, and it's right below where I'm sitting here, and it has two vents that kick out. It's noisy, uh, but and it does use a fair bit of power. I think it's over just 2 amps when it's running, 2.5 amps, which is not bad actually for such an old rig. And it's not very efficient on the propane. I use that. What I'll do is I'll sleep through the night if it's fairly cold. Right above my head is a thermostat, and I just have it set to a temperature, and I just turn it on and off. Right, just reach up. It's within reach. Tick, 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 and kick it in, kick it out. It has to be fairly cold to me to have it kick in the middle of the night. Usually, what my solution is just in the morning when I'm about to get up, I'll kick it on. It'll heat up the whole RV. I can get out comfortably and get changed and whatnot, go on with the day. So yeah. So the problem with the built-in systems typically is that they use a lot of battery power, and they're not that efficient on propane, and they're noisy. So that's why people head off to the Mr. Buddy route and the Olympian type catalytic heaters. I guess the other option to look at is a wood heater. There's small little wood heaters you can buy. You can go search them out. Anything from $500 all the way up to like a $4,000 Kimberly stove. Those are good in the sense that it's a dry heat, and that if you're off grid, then if you can gather a little bit of wood, throw it in there, that's a very good solution. So that's the way I'm going to go here for my first auxiliary heat is a wood heater. I want to be able to have it so that, it's a 4x4 camper, and I can go out in the bush, and to be able to have something that I can just go out and get wood from the from the forest and heat the rig, right? But the problem is to fit a wood stove in here is pretty near impossible. You're going to have to do some real sacrifices of something else, and we're going to discuss those right now. Okay, well, look at my options of placement. Okay, now there's the front of the RV. There's sleeping up there. We have the door and the little kitchenette here. So below the metal there is the gas range for heating. It's your cooktop. Here, of course, is your sink, and then you have this that can pull out, right? So I don't want to give up the stove, no way. So that's one place you could put it there, and that would work. But I'm not giving that up. Sink, pretty important. I use a sink a lot. I use it more than a wood stove, so I don't want to give that up. But one of the options would be, even for the Dickinson Marine, would be to go ahead and go with a narrower sink, or reorient this the other way so it's narrower, so it's up to here. And then in this space here, you could put, a wood stove or a Dickinson Marine. Problem is with that is it's right in the pathway, and it's going to look like a hick type of installment. So I'm not too interested in that. Down below here, I suppose, if you were to remove this, you could have a wood stove down there, but then you're giving up your, entrance, and that's pretty important entrance. So what do you do? Can you do anything here? Well, that's pretty radical if you want to stick something there. Not really. There's too many combustibles around there. You're going to give up your sleeping and your, space up there. So that's not good. Okay, what else can we do here? Not a lot of options here. So I thought that one thing you could possibly do is if you were to build a shelf out here, you could put something in this spot. I was thinking of a Dickinson Marine actually, and you could put shielding up here and whatnot. So this is a possibility to put something in here. The problem is this is where you sleep down below here. If it's a wood stove, you're gonna have ashes coming down and onto your area. Not very convenient. You can't really see the fire when you're in bed unless you're up here, but then that's the other problem. If you have it here and you go ahead and slide this all the way out to be a bed, well, now you got this obstruction. Again, kind of Hicksville looking, so I'm not You know, it's a possibility, but not very much. If a person wanted to give up his shower, which I do not, a shower is key importance here. Plus also this shower ends up being, you know, with this rod, you can have it as a closet. Pretty important space. Don't want to give it up for a wood stove, so that doesn't work. Probably one of the better options would be back here. You could have the wood stove in this area here, back like that, and have it, you know, heat out here. You'd have to do something with your curtains so it doesn't ignite on fire. But problem is with that, this is where we have bikes and all of our outdoor stuff. So definitely don't want to give up that space for a wood stove. So I don't know. We have our closet over here. But that's a pretty important space. So really, there's really no place to put a wood stove in here. So what does a person do? Well, stay tuned and we'll talk about how I'm going to stuff a wood stove into T-Rex. Believe it or not.